if we are on air, just to make sure it's recorded, just to make sure here. Okay, just give it a little time for the streaming. Okay, more or less, we got
Yeah, I
it.
see myself live.
Me too. Okay, and it's 9:05 right now, uh, Saturday, 26th of October.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Say It With Love. Again, I'm here, Eunice, and in today's education series episode, we're exploring how English slang has evolved across generations. Are you one of those that actually quite confused with our new generation English, like Sigma and whatnot?
Tell me
Um,
about.
that has evolved across generations. Now, I'm actually a Gen X. Okay, oops, that gives away my age.
You're
And
not
all
Gen
the
X.
way, hmm?
You're not Gen X. Come on, you're not Gen
Yeah,
X.
I'm at the end of Gen X. I was born towards the end of Gen X, though. Yeah, of course, I was brought up in Gen Y, so I speak Gen Y language rather than Gen X. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So each generation has shaped English in unique ways. That with all these language shifts, one question remains like, how do we help our children, our students to succeed in formal English exams like Cambridge and Oxford, IELTS, and whatnot in and while still embracing their generation slang. Now, the question is, are we open to embrace them, or is it going to be more confusing for them? Because when they write essay with all these slangs, the teacher is not likely to give them. If it confused the teacher, it's not likely to. They won't get awarded for those. So tonight again we have my partner here, um, educator, trainer, and a polyglot himself, Frederick, to help us answer some questions. Welcome, my partner.
Hey, welcome. Thank you, Eunice, for the introduction. And I'm really looking forward to this topic. In fact, I think the evolution of English is fascinating and it's more relevant than ever for parents and teachers to know how to navigate it. With regards to slangs, it is it is a linguistic thing. So I won't discard the importance of slang. I still think
Mhm.
that it has an important place in our lives and in our culture, in
Yeah.
in the society that we are living in. However, I think when it comes to proper English, that's a whole different story altogether. So I think I'm open
Mm.
for a discussion on this topic because slangs are just, I mean, slangs are evolving, and it and for me to understand Gen Alpha slang is gonna take a while for me to get what they're talking about, really.
Yep, I do see that you have some videos that are like you're adapting some literature and trying to use them using the new generation
Yeah,
English.
if you
I,
watch my TikTok.
I'm actually more confused than ever. Even though, yes, my students actually taught me some, I know some of them, not all.
Hmm.
So it does give me an insight to it. But, as I actually go through how English itself has evolved, right, from
Hmm.
Old English to Middle English now to the one that we have in modern English, they are so different if we actually look back how they were, right? Now, let's look out at have a quick tour, I mean, a quick discussion about how English slang has evolved through the generations. Now, perhaps you can share with us, like, in your mind, how did Gen X, the millennials, the Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha shape the language we use today?
Yeah, of course. I think before we do that, I just want to have a quick summary of what lingo or what slangs are like, and
Mhm.
how they were, how they are derived, how they came about as dynamic elements of language. Um, uh, Slang in general, it reflects the culture, it reflects the society, it reflects technological changes over time. Each generation slang actually evolve due to, due to the influences of music, media, and you have social media nowadays, certain subcultures, and of course not forgetting technology, and and more than ever, I think it's more about the rebellion against the norm. And it comes from different generations, and every generation is rebellious. It's not just the Gen Alphas, it's not just the Gen Ys that are rebellious. Every generation is rebellious. So they have their rebellious streak, and therefore the rebelliousness creates the kind of sub identity or subculture that one would like to be involved or associated with, and that's where the slang ultimately marks one's identity. And so that's where you have different generational slang, like the Gen X slang, the Gen Y slang, which is the millennial slang, and then you have the Gen Z slang, and finally the Gen Alpha slang. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna like share the screen on. Let me share the screen on the various slang throughout the ages. And if you can see right here, are you able to see the screen right here?
Yes, yes. Perhaps you
Awesome.
want to, can you kind of zoom in a little bit? Is it possible?
Yep. Uh,
Yeah, that'll be
Just gonna
perfect.
make it
Yes.
really
Mm,
big. Perfect.
perfect. Yep.
Okay. So we have the Gen X slang right here. And for those of you on Spotify, you may not be able to see this, but you can listen to what we're talking about. So Gen X are those born between 1965 to 1980. Okay, and if you're born within this era, you probably have heard of these words like gnarly, something impressive or cool, or
Different.
alternatively difficult. And you have tabula, you have red, you have bodacious, um, and bugging, veg out, word. I like this word thing because it's a short form of what you say agreement. Like when you say word means you're agreeing with somebody, and it just takes one word to just finish off a sentence. That's amazing. And then you have take a chill pill, and of course wicked. Now wicked looks familiar because wicked is used in English term as well, like English, like in
The
England.
Wicked Queen.
In England, people use the word wicked to to indicate awesome, to indicate something that's cool, it's amazing, that's great. Yeah. And last but not least, you have psych. So I'm not sure if you recall the word psych, but at first I thought it was something like high or something, you get yourself high, but psych means a prank or a joke, like just kidding, just say psych.
Correct. Well, out of all this list, I guess I'm not so much of a Gen X because I only use two words out of them. It's like word and
Hmm.
wicked. The rest, I don't use them at all.
Yeah, and we'll move on to Gen Y. So if you're born in Gen Y or you're called a millennial, you're born between 1981 to 1996. So millennials have their slangs like epic fail. We know that one. Epic fail. You have words like adulting. Adulting is like the process of becoming an adult. um, I don't know
Yeah.
why they use this word, but the process of becoming an adult is an arduous task, as though it's like a real hard journey, a difficult journey. And then you have
Yep.
on fleek. I've never heard of that one, but on
Mhm.
fleek looks like it's perfectly done, on point. I've never heard of that one though, but yes, that's the next one. Yes, like yeah. And I remember there was this movie called Scream, and I remember there was a segment where the slang was used. It was a different slang, but it was a different kind of way of expression, such as "yeza." Anybody has ever
Yep.
encountered this like "yeza," and then
Yeah,
after
it
something
was.
like "yeza, yeza."
Yeah,
It's irritating, yeah, but
yeah, it was irritating, but yeah, at the same time, it was like a trending thing back then.
yeah, and we were like cracking up. And you have another word called binge watch. Well, to binge on something is to do it extremely a lot of time, but when you have binge watch, you are watching multiple episodes of a TV series in one sitting. I like this word because we use this word a lot of times. I remember telling my friends I'm binge watching some Korean series, or I'm binge watching certain war drama serials series, not serials series, and yeah, that was one. Ghosting, yeah, we've been using ghosting for the longest time ever, and
You're still
it's
using it, yeah.
yeah, and that was like since my time. Yeah, and FOMO, yeah, fear of missing out, and that's the kind of like word that we use, FOMO. Another one would be Boji. I've not encountered Boji before, like
I thought
aspiring to be
bougie
of
is
higher
in,
status.
yeah.
It comes from the word bourgeoisie, but have you heard of the word bourgeoisie?
Mm-mm, no.
It's a French word. I think it's called bourgeoisie and the
Okay.
proletariat. It's really Marxist, but when you talk about bourgeoisie, they shorten it to bourgie, like, oh, you're appearing like you're high class in some way.
I see.
Yeah,
Well, we have a different word for it right now in this generation. We'll get there later.
yeah, and you have another word called clapback. So it's sort of a sharp and witty retort to criticism. So you clap back, like that's a comeback kind of thing. Like I call it comeback. I don't call it clap back, but there are some people who call it clap back. So to each their own.
Mm.
And last but not least, you have sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, that is a very normal one that we used to use to kind of annoy our friends.
Yeah, like sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Thanks, no thanks. Thanks, no thanks. Yep.
Well, out of all this, I think the binge watch reminds me of those days that we still need to rent um, tapes from tape rental companies. I used to do that for my nanny because I used to binge watch with her on those some dramas over the tape recorders. Like we still play those tapes back then. And then, yeah, we literally watched the entire series in one sitting overnight
Mm-hmm.
when I was just like 9, 10, during school holidays. And I didn't use a lot of them except for adulting, yes, ghosting, FOMO, sorry, not sorry. I think it's also culturally different because I believe the list here is more towards a different cultural community. I mean, a different culture, a different community. In Malaysia, we have lots of other words that are Manglish. So, yeah, definitely we have a different set of slangs.
You ready for the Gen Z slang?
Sure, let's go.
Let's take a look at Gen Z who are born between 1997 to 2012. So we have 10 of them still. So slay is one of them. Like you've done something really spectacularly and you succeed and look great, you call them slay,
Mhm.
right? You say slay.
Yeah, it's just like you, just like the dragon.
Yeah. Just reminds me of a computer game. I don't know what video game was that, but Slay. Yeah. And you have Stan. Well, I've heard of that one, but No idea what stan means, but apparently stan seems to be referring to to someone being enthusiastic or obsessive towards someone or something. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, oh man, I'm really stand to. I don't know. I don't know how to use this. I'm really stand for. I'm such a stand for this person, this celebrity.
Okay.
I have no idea how that
I
works.
had not used that, so
I
yeah.
have no idea. And you have drip. God knows what drip is. And you know what drip means to me? Drip means you go to hospital and you get a drip.
Well,
um,
I don't remember myself saying drip. I would say that's dope, not drip.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
dope. Yes, dope. That was so Gen Y, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
dope.
Yeah.
That's really dope. But they don't call it dope. They call it drip. Like drip
Drip.
means fashionable style. Like in
Okay.
terms of your clothing and jewelry, and you have like so much on you and you look terrific. You call
Your
it.
drip.
You're
Okay.
like, yeah, look at your drip, man. Your drip looks good. But of course, no cap, we know that no cap means no lie, means you're being serious, you're being honest. So no cap is like saying, no, I'm not kidding.
Mm.
And I like this word called simp because simp seems to be the very in thing for almost everyone right now because simp has been popularized because the word simp simply means someone who does way too much for someone they like romantically. So for Gen Z, it seems that they don't want to engage too much in this kind of romantic stuff and they find that it's too old fashioned or something. I don't know, but Gen Z, you tell me. Because the thing here is that they're not so tolerant of people who are so romantically involved or emotionally involved in some way, and therefore there was this change in the dating scene. I'm not sure about that, but maybe Gen Zs you can comment.
Yeah. Is it something related to situationship? Perhaps you want to come in and let us know more about that.
Probably. The next thing is vibe check, right? We know what vibe is, but vibe check is about assessing your mood, your feeling, or the energy of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have it's giving, like it's giving vintage. Uh, this phrase just simply means to describe the vibe or essence of something. I'm not sure how this is used.
It's like they use that if you look cool, it's like, oh, it's giving. Like it's
It's giving,
they literally
right?
give you this look like it's giving means it's so cool. It's so and they have another word for it. It's aura something. Means
Okay,
I have something to it. Yeah.
cool. I think I learned something tonight. So aunties and uncles, right? You guys need to learn this, right? Speak to sons and daughters, and then you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed, and then you'll be amazed by their amazement, of their amusement towards you, and then they want to
Exactly.
do a TikTok video on you speaking Gen Z, Gen Alpha lingo and slang.
Yes,
You
and
may
that
want to
has to
consider
be
that.
a way to bond. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
totally agree. And there's this word called chugi. Now, chugi, Cheugy. No idea what that means. But
Oh,
chugi just means something outdated or trying too hard to be trendy. Um,
okay.
Yeah, like you're so
Trying too
chewy,
hard.
so chewy, and it sounds really cute.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, like for a moment you thought that that girl is trying to tell you that you're cute, but actually you're old fashioned or something, and she goes
Mhm.
like, "Hey, you're so cheeky." It
Well,
sounds cute.
I get offended when people say I'm cute because, according to Oxford Dictionary, it literally means ugly but adorable. So look it up.
Uh, let's not take it too literally. Right. You have the word called flex in Gen Z lingo. Now, flex is to show off something, right? We flex our muscles, right? That's how we use it. But flex in Gen Z lingo just means something that you're showing off, like you're showing off something to the people and usually in a boastful way, in an arrogant way. And last but not least, you have living rent free. Great. So it doesn't mean living in a place. that's rent free, but you're actually describing someone or something who occupies your thoughts a lot. And you know what, honey? You're living rent free, man. Is that how you use that?
I do know that a lot of them actually using their TikToks for their pets, and they literally put them like, because the pets are literally like the love of their life, and they're so pampered in a way that, yeah, this is my Bobo living rent free with me, like, yeah, that's
Oh, I
what
didn't
they.
know that. I was just
Yeah,
like, hey, this is my wifey. She's living rent free with me right now.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
literally how it sounds.
Okay. I didn't know that, but it sounds so off and awkward. Now we have Gen Alpha, born 2013, all the way to the present day. Um, I'm not sure if it's already Gen Alpha or already Gen Beta, because we're waiting for Gen Beta to be up, but Gen Alpha. Right. Sheesh. That's the first word there.
Yep.
Sheesh. Like, oh gosh, it's amazement, it's disbelief, it's excitement. Sheesh.
Yep.
But I use sheesh for myself when I'm agitated. Like, sheesh, a good grip of yourself. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was yikes, it's similar to yikes to me. I don't know. And then when I look at this, oh,
no,
okay, it's a different meaning
yeah.
altogether.
It's negative connotation to me, but to Gen Alpha, it's actually quite positive. Um, this
Mm-hmm.
this sounds really brain dead to me. uh,
That's what they call brain rot.
Brain rots. I don't know about brain rots, but anyway, big yikes. I know you use the word yikes a lot, but big yikes just means a stronger version of something embarrassing or awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and let's go to bet. I don't know, but bet seems to be very, very, very
Ah.
straightforward. But according to Gen Alphas, it's not so straightforward. It's like, okay, you got it, you bet.
Ah, you bet. Oh, I guess I misunderstood one of my students when they were talking about this, and then I was like, "Are you gambling?" No wonder he gave me the weird look. Okay.
Yeah, because to bet is to gamble, right? To bet on something is to
Mm-hmm.
gamble.
Yeah,
But I think to them, bet is like, okay, you
you
got
bet.
it.
Yeah,
Like, it's an agreement, it's an acknowledgement. They're using all these negative connotation
in a positive
in a
way.
positive way,
Of
which
course.
is really messed up.
Yeah, it's confusing to us, I guess.
Yeah, it's really confusing. And the fourth word is glow up. Okay, so glow up seems to be like a major transformation kind of thing, and it's usually positive.
Yeah.
So to them, glow up is like, oh, it's completely a makeover.
Yeah, that's what they'll say, like, "Oh, look at your glow up. Yo, that's bussin'." I mean, glow up is not for bussin'. Is not for that's not bussin'. What did they say? It's like, look at your glow up. That's giving aura, something like that. That's giving. Yeah, yeah. That's how they said it.
Yeah. And you have the word called fire. Now, fire just means describing something very cool and excellent. Like, hey, you're on fire. Is that how you use it? Because for me, I use you're on fire means you're enthusiastic, you're so full of energy, you're tremendous,
Passionate.
passionate. Yeah, you're on fire, you're passionate. But to them, it's like, oh, you're cool, you're excellent. Okay.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
I think thanks to the emoji, I guess. I mean, when emoji we would put the fire, it's like we're fired up. We are like passionate about something. That's how I guess that's how it came along.
I guess too. I guess it's too because I use the fire emoji to represent something really cool, like
Yeah.
oh, all the fire elements and
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you have sending me. Well, when something is extremely funny, so oh, this thing is really sending me. This
Sending.
show is sending me. I get real confused at times when they say this, and I'm like, sending you to where?
Yeah. Yeah. Sending you what?
Sending you what? Sending you to where? Where is sending you to? Sending you, sending
What are
you.
you
What?
sending? Right.
Exactly.
When
And you have
something
busing, the
extremely
next
fun.
word called busing, and it refers to something that is really good, usually food. Oh, this mee goreng is buzzing.
Yeah, yeah. When yeah, they don't say that it's delicious anymore. It's bussin'.
But I don't know what busing really means, but where does busing came about? Um,
Mm-mm. I have no idea if you are one of the Gen Alpha, Gen Z that knows how this come around. Let us know.
yeah. And yeah, I'm familiar with this one. Say less, like used to express agreement that, you know, don't explain further. Say less. Say less. I don't want to hear no more. Say less.
All right.
And you have period with a T. So period is like trying to
Period.
tell you that that's the final statement. That's it. I'm not gonna say anymore. Period.
Okay. They add a t sound at the back of it instead of just period.
Yeah.
Mm.
I use period a lot, but when you add a T at the back, that's really funny, I think.
Well, I guess it's just the way you pronounce it and it makes it fun. I think a lot of these words came along because they were fun, they were trendy, and at the same time as we are more, we access a lot more to the internet, and right now on social media, literally you can speak to anyone random and you get influenced by anyone random, right? Back in the days it was just celebrities on TV, it was just DJs on radios, and those are people that will be exclusively featured, or perhaps educators that are being interviewed, and people with experiences that will be interviewed. Now literally now everyone, anyone can be an influencer. So it is about these young children choosing the age appropriate uh, content to watch. However, because we lack this feature, I would say, and it's because of marketing purpose. There's this technical thing that's called Pixel that follows you everywhere you go, whatever you search. It will be in your history. It will track you down, and you will be served contents that you are interested in. Yeah, I mean, that's the part of the tag. So uh, that's why we have a new language really evolving so quickly with internet right now because we have social media.
Hmm. Yes. And and speaking about slang, I think in short, when you play with words, when you mess around with the meaning of the word based on the subculture you're associated with, that English word or phrase becomes a slang. So it evolves over time, and
Mm.
it incorporates certain phonetic changes, and it plays on existing words to create new meaning. So when you talk about the Gen Z phrase called no cap, right? Do you know that no cap comes from the word, it comes from the African American vernacular English, like AAVE in short. So cap in the AAVE simply means uh, lie, lie, lie. And therefore, when you say no cap means it's not a lie. Like there's no lie to that. It's the truth. No kidding, in all honesty. So
Okay.
that exactly means what it means. Like no cap, not a lie. Yeah. So it's really interesting when you have the shift in the phonetics, and then you
Hmm.
pick and choose the kind of prefix or suffixes of a certain word, and you add it into the kind of lingo, and that lingo becomes the kind of slang that you use in day to day conversations.
Yeah. Hi, Rachel Marie. Thanks for joining us tonight. If you have any comments for us to drop down in the comments down below, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Suspicious.
Yep.
Everything got
Yep.
chopped off,
Sus.
kind of chopped off.
Yeah, exactly what I mean. It's like slang is like the shift in the meaning and also the shifts in the phonetic sounds of a word. Like sus is it just means suspicious. It gets chopped
Yeah.
off.
Right. Well, again, I mean, we want to talk about like you see, these are trends. These are slangs are trends, and Gen Alpha is already really embracing slangs that's
Hmm.
highly influenced by digital interactions, like I
Pretty
said,
much.
social media, gaming, right? Everybody literally has a phone and they have access to all these apps on the internet. Like, um, I think there's one word, yeet. I cannot remember what it
Yeah.
means. And
Yeats.
yeah, do you have any idea what that means?
For Gen Alpha slang, yeets. To be honest, I know sus, but yeet sounds familiar, but I forgot about the meaning. It's very, very familiar to me. I've heard of yeet, but no idea. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
leave it to the Gen Alphas to comment on this. But
Yes,
yeets
please
and
do.
sus and all that, these are words that formed and derived from the emojis. That's
Yep, yep.
that's coming from the kind of emotions on the phones and all that. So
WhatsApp,
no
whatnot.
idea. No idea. All right. And they've grown up, around these voice assistants and smart devices and being very comfortable with all these tech driven language. And it
Yeah.
somehow shaped their slang. So,
Yes, yes. I call
so
them the post-pandemic babies. That's why they are. I mean, you know, the thing is, you don't even have to train them to know how to use computers, know how to use phone. It just comes so naturally to them.
yeah, and another thing about that is that it involves the semantic shifts as well. They make existing words take on new meaning.
Mm.
So fire becomes excellent, right? Fire. But I thought fire means flame.
Well, yeah, I mean that's literally what it means, but it has evolved into being on fire, which means you're like, oh, you're hot, like you're really passionate about what you do, or you're really on fire means you are achieving something, you're on center stage or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's about slang, right? That's all about slang we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
it's just like a natural part of this whole entire language
Mm-hmm.
evolution. Yeah.
Yeah, as I just had a group discussion with some teachers today. Apparently, I mean, because we are from the social intelligence team, and we were talking about like now with each generation with their own slangs, right? Especially the generation now, we don't, we literally don't really understand what they say, and some of them even pen them down in their essays, which confuses the teachers. So the teacher has no way of marking their papers, and they literally have to put a legend on the side so that it explains what they mean, and
Mhm.
the teacher can figure out from there. Now, coming back to the exam that we have, right? The papers that we have in school generally, when it comes to formal English requirements, many parents, many teachers are now worried that students are so, you know, I mean, basically they rely so much on the slangs right now, it's hindering their ability to write properly or formally for the exam. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think you can prepare students according to you can prepare the students effectively by encouraging them to sort of incorporate the formal and informal form of English into their study routines. I know it's going to be quite a challenge, and I think that sometimes parents find it challenging to even understand what the hell they're talking about. Even like they have their own lingo, and it's already very tough understanding what they're talking about in the first place. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. Like I said earlier, aunties and uncles, please go and learn the Gen Alphas, the Gen Z lingo, and then impress them with what you learned. Because I think it will help with the bonding, and with the kind of bonding, you're able to help them to, to kind of
Mm,
figure out how to incorporate their slang into proper English language. Because if you're gonna speak like, it in my video, I did mention that if you're gonna use Gen Z slang or Gen Alpha slang, you're just gonna fail your exam. So in order
mm,
to uh, pass your exam and do well in your exam, you need to learn um, how to incorporate what you know into your formal English language, which I think is it's the right way, and I think that's
mm.
there's no other better way to do that. Okay, because you got to learn a new language, and if English language, proper English language, is a new language to you, then you got to buck up, and it's something that you need to work on. That's no other way. There's no shortcut to that. And if all you speak is Gen Z slang and Gen Alpha slang,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be understood.
Yeah, that's the thing. Right now, if you were to look in, IGCSE or any IELTS, that if you actually have those speaking, imagine you're having your speaking test, and you're speaking your slangs right now, and your examiner has no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So at
I'm just gonna do a video on that. I'm so inspired to do a video on that, like how you talk during the speaking component of the IELTS test. That's a
yeah,
really, really hilarious thing. If you're gonna speak in an alpha slang, you're just gonna court disaster for your proficiency.
exactly, because the first thing is they can't comprehend you. They don't understand. The most important thing when you come to speaking is actually comprehension. So someone to understand what you're talking about, and you can express your ideas and how you can expand, your vocabularies in a way to, there's a build up to it, that you have a form of, um, I would say, structure to your conversation. So now, given that the slangs are in, so it's a bit challenging for educators, challenging for parents to understand their children. So now the thing is, again, in social setting, we always say there is no right or wrong, um, behavior. There's only, I would say, there's some smart or wiser choices, and some that are not such wiser choices. So now, so it's important for us as adults to emphasize that formal English is not that is the right language. It's not saying that this is the right thing to do, and the slangs that you're using are wrong. Because as children, young children or young adults these days, they cannot accept the fact that when you tell them they are wrong, they're not wrong, because everybody is speaking the language, right? They can understand each other. That's what's important. But the thing is, because we have a generational gap here because of technology, the use of technology. And of course, for those adults that are in trend with the technology, definitely you understand some of them. But for those that are not so in touch with that there will be a gap in there. The thing is, we have an opportunity here, as an adult, to bond with our children, bond with our students by asking them for help. You know, if you understand children, especially boys, they are those that always want to become the little heroes. So they want to teach you, they want to provide to you. So the little boys are happy to share what they know, and in fact they like to role play as a teacher. For girls, they like to share. They like to talk about feelings, right? They like to be friendly. They like to be a buddy in a way to express, to tell little secrets and stuff like that. So these are the way to approach it, because I think this is a way to kind of help us to switch over, I guess. Um, so maybe you have a little bit more to talk about on switching.
You mean code switching?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So very quickly, code switching is about understanding context. So I guess when we do code switching, what happens is that when I'm talking English and I'm going to switch to Mandarin, my brain immediately has to change and translate whatever that I know in English and finally to think in Mandarin. So that is what the process code switching is all about. I mean, in summary, right? So it's going to be a challenge because when you do code switching, immediately not all words can be directly translated into another language.
Yes.
And and one way to teach this is I don't know, it's just practice. I don't know, it's very difficult to teach code switching. It's got to do with practice, and you gotta balance the idea of embracing both languages. Like for example, you have the English language and you have the slang. You've got to balance them both. I
Mm,
just got to understand how each of them is being used in under what context.
mm,
And you're going to build yourself a set of vocabulary lists. And then if you're going to learn the Gen Alpha slang, they also have their own vocabulary list. And so if you want to learn both and you want to embrace the English language and you want to embrace the slang, you can. You just have to do code switching at the end of the day. And you know that you just have to understand how the words are being used
mm,
and you use them. And it's better that way because there's no other way other than practicing. It's a lot of hard work. And I did
mm.
mention in my last episode, my previous episode about the English language and how you can master any language. Mastering any language does not come in a matter of weeks or months. Those are words of a guru who are there to scam you. Mastering a
Okay.
language takes years and it's a lot of hard work. You can take a year or two to master an easy language, an easy language like Italian, French, or Spanish, if you're an English speaker. But
Mm-hmm.
for other languages, like the Asian languages, Chinese, for example, you take years to learn that if you are an English speaker. Okay. But if you are a Chinese speaker, you're going to take, shorter than a couple of years to learn Japanese or Korean because you're a Chinese speaker and there are some similarities between Japanese and Korean and Chinese, like the kanji. So it will take slightly lesser time for you to master that. So it really takes years to master language. So it is not easy. And I admit sometimes it's a challenge to kind of teach children languages, but there is a fun in language as well. There is some kind of a fun there. And you just gotta find where your fun is. Yeah.
Yeah, the fun of drawing them in for the first place. Yeah, I mean, I teach English experience, I mean, immersive English experience classes. So for foreign students, the major thing that we do at the very beginning of it is actually expose them to the immersive environment where we don't speak any other language other than English. And of course, through that social setting, in a way, we are training the brain to switch, right? And the thing for someone to be able to speak multiple languages is actually a form of intelligence that we're building within our brain. And your brain is actually trained to be adaptable to different social settings, different environment, and therefore it's just like the slang. So we need to understand that in what social setting do we use certain language, certain vocabulary. So if we can actually um, be open to embrace the slangs at the same time, we let the students or the children know that, hey, when you're speaking to your friend, it's completely, I mean, it's totally fine that you're using the slang, in your language when you're speaking to them. But when it comes to talking to your teacher may not understand it unless they are curious, they ask you for help. Yeah, maybe you should share, how they could better possibly understand it. But there are some adults that are not willing, or perhaps not so open to learn about your slang. So then you need to switch to more of the the words that they probably know more of. So it's actually understanding which social setting to use which language. So to us, it's like last time it was much simpler. We have informal written English versus the formal written English, right? So like when you write a formal letter, it's a different format. When you write informal letter, that's a different format. So it's like now we have more switches instead
Yeah.
of just those formal and informal.
Yep. And I think we're 45 minutes into this show.
Oh
I'm
yes,
wondering if you would like to go on.
I'm fine. I mean, it's up to you how you would like to bring it forward. Otherwise, we can just end it here.
I think we can form a conclusion for this episode.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So let's focus on um, what are the ending. So what are the ending? Uh, what
Okay.
are your conclusive thoughts? What are your concluding thoughts about
All
this?
right. I guess it's actually open. Let's be open to embrace the slang at the same time. Create a setting where the students or younger learners understand
Hmm.
the social setting where they are at, and also to make it a less intimidating process for them. Especially preparing them for Cambridge or Oxford or any formal kind of examinations. It's helpful to break down into relatable parts for them. It's like, of course, if we have a chance to, it's actually encouraging to them to read, and of course, us being part of it to encourage them and take it as a bonding time that we read together or play some wood games and whatnot. And of course, I think uh, it's so much more easier when they have this habit, the little habits of reading and getting those proper vocabularies, or perhaps adding vocabularies into their daily conversations. Those will be helpful for to build up their own vault of vocabularies. I mean, that's for me. And yeah, switching, understanding how to switch for different social setting. That's important. Yeah. Perhaps you have anything to add on?
I mean, absolutely agree with you. On the other hand, I think it's like uh, I think my advice, well, for this whole entire episode to conclude is that I know it's a challenge. I know it's a challenge. It's trying to learn the slang of the Gen Alphas and the Gen Zs. I know it is, but I think we need to embrace. both the slangs and the proper way of communicating, because you just want to be understood. I'm not talking about proper English, I'm talking about being understood. And if you are trying to use slangs just being in your own subculture and being in your own gen, sure. I mean, if your own gen understand, what you're talking about, sure. But when you're at work, when you're in the society and you're serving people and all that, you're gonna speak what is commonly acceptable or what is commonly understood by many. Yeah, so I guess there's this balance that you need to have.
Mm,
I think both styles are just as important, but it's just that you got to
balance it out.
um, you just gotta balance them both. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only way to do that. Otherwise, just speak pure English. Just speak English. Just speak English and be good at it. Just be fluent, be proficient, and you're well on your way to have a bright future, right?
Mhm.
You can speak however that you want, in your own lingo with your own friends. That's perfectly fine. But however casual you can be, there's always this fine line, like this fine line of whether you're being understood or not. It's communication.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I believe that's the thing. At the end of the day, we want to be understood. And the main communication is actually about understanding others, and also, you know, being understood. And I just want to add on the last part of it is that the approach to make it a more supportive one rather than a restrictive one, because for this generation, I do find that they want to have a voice. They are very vocal, and instead of restricting them, we want to empower them without the feeling like they're losing their voice. Yet we want to empower them that English is fun to learn, and yeah, the approach have to be slightly tweaked towards the fun part of languages, and make them enjoy the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess we're more or less done with this episode. We have sort of summarized it all about being understood. I think the key thing here is about being understood and learn to embrace both subculture and the proper way of speaking and presenting yourself. I think it works well if you embrace both at the same time, but it's gonna be a challenge trying to balance them both. But of course, when it comes to Gen Z lingos and Gen Alpha's lingos, so like I've always mentioned, like, hey, parents, aunties, and uncles, please go and learn Gen Alphas, go and learn Gen Z slangs. It will help you tremendously to bond with your kids or to bond with your relatives or niece and nephews.
And have
Do
fun.
that, because I always think that if you can bond with them, you'll be able to get into their worlds, you'll be able to understand them and encourage them in their own lingo. Because if you can speak the other person's language, chances are you're going to be accepted into their subgroup, their subculture. So I think if you can learn a bit of Gen Alphas or Gen Z lingo, you'll be able to connect better with them. And so if you really think that you cannot, do your best, do your best, because it's like learning a new language. It's the same thing as you learning a foreign language. The same thing. So it's good to, it's good to bond with this new generation. And in a way it makes you less of a what's that word again? Kuji.
Cringy. Yeah, my son used that on
Or
me.
yeah, it makes you less kludgy, like less old fashioned or something like that.
Yeah, cringy. I mean, well, It's actually make it fun. Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately language is a communication tool. So let's since we have to learn it anyhow, why not make it more fun, make it a tool to help us bond as well. So I think this is the way that we could possibly do. And it's just like us. Like I have my fair share of Manglish. I'm sure you have your fair share of Singlish. But when we speak, I mean, when we teach or educate, we we need to switch from using Manglish or Singlish to proper English, right? So yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It's not kludgy, but it's choosy. Chugi. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
word.
Chugi. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
not cringy.
Chugi.
Okay,
That's the word. Okay,
it's a
never mind.
different one. Mm,
Yeah. Anyway,
thanks.
thanks for everyone. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, or if you have anything to share, please comment. And of course, subscribe and leave us a review on our podcast on Spotify. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and if there's any questions you may have, you may reach out to us at fredandeunice@gmail.com, or simply subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow our individual TikToks. You can follow me at Learn English with Fred, and a New Teacher's Diary. That's for Eunice. And until next time, keep learning and keep loving the journey. This is Frederick and Eunice, and we're signing off from